Welcome to the Anfield Wrap. Today's Anfield Wrap is brought to you in partnership with our partners RedsBet. RedsBet's offering to those of you who gamble is that half of your profits, your losses are put back into the community projects. If you don't gamble, this won't be for you. But if you do, think about using RedsBet. Find them at redsbet.com and be gamble aware, begambleaware.org. And for the first time, the Anfield Wrap Monday show is hosted by me, Rob Gutmann, because every other bugger is on holiday, Neil in particular, in Portugal. Keys to the kingdom, boys, so we can say and do what we want. I've got to discuss all things LFC with me, Joel Richards, Ben Johnson, Ian Ryan and Andy Heaton. We're going to sort of do it in a magazine format, if you will. Okay. Just go across the news that's breaking in the Reds world. Actually, it's a big story breaking today, Joel. Yep. And this story, I have to preface this by saying, was broken exclusively, I emphasise the word exclusively, by our subscription service, Tour Players, The Gutter Show, 2 weeks ago. That Liverpool
Who hosts that Gutter Show, though?
This guy, some kid just out of college. You know, it's me, Ben. It's me. It's me who broke the story. And you get extra me behind the paywall. Actually, it's called The Gutter Show. And we broke the story that Harvey Elliott, 16-year-old Harvey Elliott, who's described by my source close to the deal as fucking brilliant, was close to signing for Liverpool. And lo and behold, Sam Wallace at the Telegraph today, as we're recording, has broken the story that he's going to sign for Liverpool. How made up are you on a scale of 1 to 10?
I want to say 7, be a bit of a party pooper.
Remember, he is fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Just cannot stress this enough.
To preface this, Rob watched 35 seconds of him online and told me he's better than Coutinho. He reminds you of Coutinho. Sorry,
he does make
words in your mouth.
He plays on the right, he cuts on to his left. Has a little look, has a little pop, doesn't he, Ben? Has a little look, has a little pop. Maybe he cuts back before he has a little look.
You know what? You've just shown me. Make that an 8.
See?
8 out of 10.
And where did you hear about him first?
First. Where did I hear about it first? Was it on some show?
It was on the Gutter Show.
Ah, that's the one, yeah.
Where's that available?
On Tour Player, I believe.
Yeah, it's great.
And Gutmann is now Paul Joyce. Gutmann's now Paul Joyce incarnate.
They're never going to let me do this show again.
If he turns out as fucking brilliant as you say he is,
my source is close to the deal suggest.
Then yeah, let's have him in. What that means for any other wild player at the club or any potential, then who knows really. I mean, depending on the fee, depending on his potential and where he will go in the first 6 to 12 months, whether he gets a first team chance or whether he sticks in the under-18s, the under-23s. Let's see how he develops and progresses, because I think at the minute there's a bit of a dearth of academy quality perhaps. There's a bit of who should be getting us back up to the front three. Do we need a wide player? Do we need that number 10 to come in and change games if we're trailing or if we're drawing? That nice option off the bench. So yeah, let's give it a go and let's see how it gets on.
I'm going to tell you a little bit more about him, Ian, because you need to know.
I'll do, mate.
I'm not going to lie. Extensively. My sources close to the deal said he was about to sign on the dotted line for Real Madrid before Liverpool whisked the pen out of his hand and said, no, you want to come and play for us.
What a fella.
On the banks of the Royal Blue Mersey for the Reds. And he actually made his debut for Fulham last September in the EFL Cup as a 15-year-old. And as a 16-year-old, he's played 2 Premier League games. So it's not like we're not buying proven Premier League quality, is it?
That's one hell of a sell, mate.
Closest we'll get this summer.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, this could be the business, couldn't it? 2 young lads. But, I mean, what it does show is that there's a level of planning going on around the club, that they've got the finger on the pulse. Obviously, they are looking towards, succession planning, next phase stuff, which is dead important. So, we can obviously have a bit of a laugh about it now. But it's probably one that, inside the club, they're delighted about, because getting in lads of this age with this potential, we know it could save you absolutely millions. And when there's lads who are 19, 20 years of age suddenly going for over 100 million in the transfer market, then if you do find a special one, and we don't know what this lad's like yet, we can talk about, is he like Coutinho? I don't really know. I've certainly never seen him play.
He's fucking brilliant, mate.
But apparently, according to the Gutter Show, he's fucking brilliant. So I'm on board with it. And yeah, we'll just see how he develops. But I wouldn't expect to see him featuring anytime soon.
Andrew, thoughts?
No, I'm not into it.
Not into it?
Not into it. Moody man bun. Looks like a South Ender. Bet he wears those kicks that are scared of his fucking ankles as well.
He does have a moody man bun, doesn't he?
And wears fucking... What's this thing as well? We're wearing socks with your adolescents now.
It's a big deal. Yeah.
It's creeping in,
isn't it? Tried it.
No,
it's dead comfy,
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but would
don't knock it till you've tried it.
Would you go out the house?
You were a footy, didn't you?
Yeah.
Would you go out the but I mean, that's
What are you talking about?
So wear your slides, your Adidas slides, but with like socks pulled up.
Nice.
Like
Classy.
40 socks.
Yeah.
Would you leave it? I mean, would you like bounce down South Road like that, or is it just like, you know, running the shops?
I've seen those lads wearing like 18th century pants with it.
This
Like
is
sort
what,
of
this is what I'm
clipped at the
saying.
ends. Yeah.
Yeah, and like
It's a
keks
bit.
that stop just past
You
your
wear
knee.
them. Defo
Talking
kids.
Tom
That's
Davis.
what I'm saying.
Anyone
Tom
seen
Davis
James
levels as well.
Madison's?
Yeah.
Anyone sees James Madison's promo videos? Is it for Puma?
Puma, yeah.
Oh,
Someone
it's
put
a
it
shark.
up next to the David Brent one as well. It's fucking brilliant.
I think it's deliberate though. I think the whole point of the James Madison thing is so people take the piss out of it, because guess what, we're talking about it, so it's worked. There you go, advertising 101.
Oh, it's very clever. It's gone all the way from clever to stupid and back
There you
again.
go. But
All
no,
right.
I'm not into the man bun, shall we say.
Okay, all right. Ben, you and I were talking about this on the Talking Reds video thing earlier. The interesting thing from my point of view, in all seriousness, is the possibility in this with the Vandenberg deal they did the other week as well, that Liverpool are
I've
looking...
seen the size of this kid, by the way, Vandenberg.
Yes, he's
It's
massive.
a fucking grok.
He's mazzy, as we say up here. It's possibly Liverpool trying to get the likes of the De Ligts and the Mbappes before they become De Ligts and Mbappes.
Yeah, I think there's, when you read all the briefings from Liverpool, when they were obviously linked with De Ligt, and it was always going to, he wants to go to Liverpool, he's going to Liverpool, blah blah blah. Liverpool distanced themselves from it and said, "Why we're not spending 50 million quid on a lad who's got a year's footy in his arse pocket. We'll spend $1 million on one." And hope that they've got the same potential. And that's the smarter move, and it's the smarter play. Why let someone else develop someone, and then you pay a premium for them, and you're still unsure as to what the end product's going to be? Like, De Ligt might be great. I don't know. I've never really seen him, but he might stay at that level. He might stay at his current level. He might not kick on.
He talks a big game.
He's going to Juve, whatever. He might be great, but I think there's a clear strategy from the club, and it looks to me like last year was an anomaly, in that we've done all our signings of big name players now for a while, and I think we've had a look at our strengths and weaknesses and thought, right, what do we need to get to get us in a position where we can win things? Well, we need a keeper, we need a centre half, we need a solid centre mid, and we're boxed everywhere else pretty much. And I think there's a change in plan from let's buy the end product to let's start buying the little diamonds that we can deliver, because we've got this squad that can compete, get 97 points, get to European Cup final. Let's buy players who can dip in and out. We can, polish them the way we want them. We can get them playing our footy. We back ourselves to develop them better than anybody else, I would imagine, as a management team.
We've shown the route through, haven't we?
Yeah, and you look at the impact Klopp's had on pretty much every player at Liverpool. There's no one who's got any worse, really. Everyone's improved, and I think they back themselves to just get these little sort of rough diamonds for less though. They back their system, their scouting systems, and they're trying to get them before they're talked about elsewhere. What's the point in spending 60 million for someone when you can spend $1 million?
Yeah, I mean, Andy, it sort of follows on a mini lineage taking shape. If you go from Kiana Hervé, who's still only 17, Vandenberg's coming at 17.
There were Billy Cometio as well. Since French kid.
Is he signed?
He signed. No, he signed. Yeah.
Right. How old's he? So similar.
He's 16, centre half.
Okay.
Good player.
And of course.
Sorry, I've just thrown you a Mickey there, haven't I?
Yeah.
You have. Jesus Christ, I would have been celebrating that all week if I'd known that one happened. And Billy Elliott's lad Harvey. Do we expect to see any of these kids in the League Cup this season? Do you think?
Well, I mean, the proof's in the pudding, isn't it? I mean, Keanu Hoover hadn't even took his socks off with his sliders, and he was playing Wolves in the cup, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you look. I think if any young prospect now in Europe will look at Liverpool as an attractive destination, you look at the lad who's playing right back for us, Trent Alexander-Arnold. There's a clear pathway there. I think the big sell as well to these kids is, well, look, I think Ben's spot on. We're signing you because we think instead of going out and spending 50, 60, 70 million, we think that you've got the ability here to do that for us, and we can see a 50, 60 million pound player in you. It's just that we're getting in there early before anyone else, and we will make you that 50, 60 million pound player. And why not?
Fast forward 3 years and they're all loaned to Derby in the Championship.
But that's fine. But that's fine, because then it pays for itself. If you get these kids in now, so if you look at the academy as a business, it's got to fund itself, and it has. The players that we've signed, how much have we paid for Vandenberg?
minimal, if anything. I'm not too sure.
It's
about
a
it.
fee that can go up.
1.3 million goal to
Yeah,
4.
that's right.
So what I'm saying, that kid played 2 minutes for Liverpool Football Club, you get your money back plus just by being at Liverpool.
Yeah.
So so if your success rate with these kids is 1 in 5, then that sounds that's fine for me. And if it's better than that, then you're absolutely flying, aren't you?
Yeah.
But no, you're all right. There does seem to be a focus on quality with these young kids now, especially the academy level. I've read an interview with Alexander-Arnold, and he was saying, we're cutting the numbers, and that you can kind of read that one or two ways. Where are they scaling things back at the academy, or can say, actually, no, we're having a focus on quality and putting our resources into finding the best kids, as opposed to just casting the net wide and over coaching and just to make up the numbers. I mean, there was a period a couple of years ago when I think there was I think it was 400 kids at the academy at one point, which is mad, because you're actually holding the best kids back then as well.
You're lowering the quality
saturation.
at which they're playing against, aren't you?
Exactly.
Spot on.
Yeah. Okay. And a story that's been bubbling since we won the European Cup, but sort of gained a bit of momentum over the weekend, is about, which could be the best signing of the summer if we're looking at signings that aren't really signings, Jurgen Klopp possibly signing a new contract for Liverpool. There were some quotes, I think, came out yesterday from his agent, who said the following: Jurgen felt again at the recent celebrations after winning the Champions League what a great club Liverpool is, and that he's in the right place at the right time. He's commenting on rumours that Jurgen may or may not be interested in moves elsewhere. He goes, Jurgen is currently not affordable, but it is difficult to measure the transfer fee in his case in any way. How is this going to work for a coach who has increased the club's value from nearly 900 million to just under 2.8 billion? That's not how it works. Not entirely sure what he's getting out there, whether he's saying Jurgen should get a shitload more money, Andy, but you've tracked the source of the story and why the agent felt, what's his name, Mark
Koziker,
why he felt the need to offer some commentary to the media.
I'm surmising it could be any reason. It could have just been totally random. He just felt like speaking out. But there has been, obviously Mel Reddy spoke, and we all know how well informed Mel is a couple of weeks ago about there's no immediate panic from Klopp to sign an extended deal. And again, you can immediately read that as, he wants out. But then there was a story in the Mail which originated in the Sun, saying, Liverpool are worried about losing Jurgen Klopp, and it was very much a scare story when there was nothing really in it. And I do think it's interesting the timing of his agent coming out and setting the record straight, so to speak. Personally, I think he's got 3 years left on his deal, hasn't he? And his agent had made a bloody good point. I mean, look at how far he's taken. Liverpool, forget about the financial aspect. Look where we are now compared to.
Do you think that quote is sending a bit of a message to FSG?
It wouldn't surprise me if Liverpool weren't trying to extend his contract, I'd be asking why they aren't trying to extend his contract.
Yeah.
But then you look at the other side of it, where does he go? I think it's interesting, the national team thing, because that's an interesting gambit. Because if it was another club interested, well, why would he? Why would he go? Why would he leave Liverpool for anywhere else? I'm not just saying that glibly out of a sense of self-importance of our club, but, where does he go?
I agree.
So basically, the only out for him is a national team job there. It's not like he's going to go to China or whatever. And I think it's very, very cute. I think there's something behind it, and I think that if you're going to ask me to put my hand on, bloody, I don't know how to phrase it. If you're going to ask me to commit myself, I'd say you probably see him sign a new contract over the summer, and this is just part of the whole process. The fact that his agents come out and shot this story down so quickly and unequivocally is telling, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, part of the dance, Joel. I mean, it feels a bit mad to me that we're 4 years into Jurgen and there might only be 3 left if we take the contract. He's currently gone, literally. That would seem a cruel twist almost to lose him that soon. You confident we'll get some more Jurgen for many more years to come?
Yeah, I think we will. I mean, because you look at the only other 2 jobs he's had. He spent 7 years at both of them, at Mainz and Dortmund. So hopefully he spends more than 7 years here at Liverpool, because as the points that have already been mentioned, what at the minute in world football, which club could offer Klopp a project or even offer him something that he's got that's better than what he has at Liverpool at the moment.
But look at the fit as well. He fits the club perfectly.
Oh, he does, yeah. He's actually managed to somehow mould the club into his image on a level that we haven't seen since the days of Shankly. I've never known a manager in my lifetime at Liverpool to run the rule over so much of the club and to have, bent it almost to its will, because Liverpool's always been bigger than the club, and it still is. The club will always be bigger than any one individual, but, for Klopp, he has managed to come in and somehow moulded in sort of his philosophy and his identity, and he's just got everyone singing from the same hymn sheet.
My only minor worry with this, and this is regardless of the contract or not, because I think if a manager wants to go, he'll just go, and a lot of things can happen in football. But my only concern is, and it sounds a bit mad, is if he wins the league for Liverpool.
Yeah,
so,
mission accomplished kind of vibe.
So if he gets to say it's year 7, and his contract's coming to an end or the season before, and he hasn't won the league, I think we've got a better chance of him signing a new deal. You know, it's basically if he comes close, you're not telling me if we come within, we don't win the league by the time his contract's up and we're finishing within 3 points at the top of the table, or 5 points, whatever. Why would you walk away? But then if he wins the league and he's won a European Cup and win another European Cup, then it is kind of, I'm going to take a break, boys. That's my only concern, but that's regardless of the contract issue.
Ben, how would you see it playing out? I mean, I can see Andy's point of view that there could be a sort of, job done, I can walk away. But then again, I could see if he had a couple of plateauy seasons where it just got a bit hard work, where he'd think, I don't need to grow old in pain, trying to hold this Titanic afloat.
I think the way he leaves is that he's achieved everything he can achieve at Liverpool. I think Andy's right, is that there's a point at which that happens, and whether that's 3 years time, whether that's 5 years time, is almost by the by. I think the way you look at the squad now, and I'd say we're set with this squad pretty much. I'd say it's settled for a couple of years, 2-3 years, and I think the question will arise. I think the contract things makes no odds. I think he's a man of his word. I don't think there's this club who can come in and say we'll offer you X, Y, Z. I think none of that's happening. No. I think he'll either stay or not. And it'll be based on his own internal, how he wants to live his life. Do I want to carry on being Liverpool manager? I think that decision may be down to how he gets on over the next few years, but also at some point in 3 years' time, there's going to be a bit of a rebuilding job. I think you're going to be looking at now. Well, yeah, it's going on now behind the scenes, but then will he make the decision that it's him to do that for 2-3 years, or is at that point is it somebody else's role to come in, to bed in, to build their own, to bring them players who've been brought through on when the likes of Salah goes, Mane goes, and Firmino goes. Verge will be 31 in 3 years' time. There's a genuine feeling for me that this squad of players is there. Pretty much, 1 or 2 might drift, but pretty much for the next 3-4 years. And then what then? What happens next? Is it Jurgen rebuilding? You look at the job Simeone's doing at the minute, and he's been there a long time.
Yeah.
And he's now saying this is the hardest job I've ever had. This particular moment, because his side's just gone. You know, he's lost his best centre halves have gone. He's lost his best centre mid.
Griezmann as well.
Yeah, his best centre forward's gone, and he's like, right, I've got to rebuild, and this is dead hard, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, but I'll give it my best. And you just wonder, at that point, even for him, you wonder whether it's best for somebody else to do that role rather than him, and him leave with his reputation and his everything intact. I think there's probably parallels to what Klopp's going to be in.
I think there's loads in what everyone said there. You know, Andy talks about the fit. It's harder to think of a better fit manager to club across world football, to be honest. It does seem like the absolute perfect fit. We get him and he gets us. You know, how often do you find a manager who can come out on a number of occasions and challenge fans, challenge fan behaviour, challenge how we behave at the match, challenge how we back the team, and he's done that, and he gets away with it because he's Jurgen Klopp, and that's a big thing. I think he'll want to build a legacy, so I think European Cups and league titles are hugely important, of course they are, but I think there's also something in just winning trophies, and I think it's important that the manager continues to win stuff. I'm not sure he will want to leave after winning the league title. I think it depends on, you know, who knows what the league looks like then. You know, Pep Guardiola could have left and Jurgen's got a chance to go and win 2 or 3 of these things on the spin, and that makes you, you know, that puts you down as one of the greatest of all time if you're able to do stuff like that. So it's hard to know, you know, what other jobs are out there for, and that would interest them. You know, I'm not sure the likes of some of these other top European teams where they just churn out managers would ever interest Jurgen Klopp, because he's about planning, he's about putting a structure in place, he wants to put a stamp on things. You don't get time at a Madrid or a Barcelona. Bayern Munich could be one, but you know, he's had run-ins with Bayern in the past. There's the national job. Who knows whether that interests him, because it doesn't give you that day-to-day, and he likes the day-to-day. But also, it's hugely intense for both for both sides, you know, players, the manager, the fans as well. And sometimes, you know, Joel alludes to his 7-year stint at various clubs. Sometimes actually it just comes to a natural conclusion. And, you know, managers' messages can start falling on deaf ears a little bit. You're hearing the same thing over and over again. It's important to keep it fresh. So when the likes of a Buvac goes and people start panicking and worrying, actually that might not have been the worst thing, because all of a sudden they get different messages from Pep Linders, for instance, and I think that helps. You know, Ferguson was one of the greatest at just shaking up the backroom team, so it's not just him delivering things, it's not just, you know, Mike Phelan delivering it, it's not Steve McLaren delivering it, it's different fellas. So that's really important as well. So I don't think we'll know whether he wants to, at this stage, extend it just right now, but I think if he does do it, then he's a man of his word, and I think he'll see out another contract if he puts pen to paper.
And no funny thing as well, we've never had a manager leave us for someone else. I've never known it personally in my lifetime. I don't know whether know any of you have, but if you go back throughout our history, I don't think we've ever had a manager who's turn around to us and go, I'm getting off and going somewhere else. Like it's always seemed that's come to a natural conclusion or a natural end, or obviously nobody being sacked. But in this situation with Klopp in particular, it's the only time where you, like with Andy's slight little worry, where it might come in.
We had a brief worry
with us before.
With Rafa, I think there was a moment or two where it was possible that Real could have nicked, but you're right.
Yeah.
It has never. That's an interesting point there. It's never actually happened in our history to have had one poached from us.
Yeah.
Okay, do you just want to change tack slightly on me, still in the same vein? Continue giving people a bit of a flavour of what we do in the Gutter Show on the tour player thing.
The Gutter Show, Rob, tell me
The Gutter Show, I can really ham it up if you want, but I think I've given it as my all this show in terms of ruthless self-promotion. But anyway, we do chat endlessly about the transfers and transfer window. This transfer window, now we a couple of kids, they're not both through the door yet, yay, but we want to sign. I'll rewind a bit. I was talking to Paul Senior of this parish just before the show, and he was going, it would be a bit mad if we didn't sign anybody serious this window, given having from this position of strength, given that we're fantastic, but there are a couple of gaps in the squad, it would be a bit mad.
Something occurred to me over the weekend, and it probably because I was bevied, but you know, every now and again. We know the Liverpool plan ahead, right? And you know the way we waited for Van Dijk. What's to say the big move that Liverpool make this summer? I think Liverpool still go big this summer. But you talk about succession planning with Salah, Firmino, Mane, whatever. What if the big move Liverpool make this summer is actually the move for next summer?
Quite
possible.
possible. You mean they buy him in now,
or even just
groundwork,
just get it all straight for next summer. I'm not saying Liverpool won't go big this summer, but what I'm saying is if they're the man, we know how stubborn. So where I'm going with this is we know how stubborn the manager is with players. So we waited on Van Dijk. When Van Dijk, we couldn't get Van Dijk initially. They pulled away. They didn't go sign anyone else, did
waited
they?
on Naby Keita.
They waited on Naby Keita. So what I'm saying is if he's given a choice of, right, we can wait a season and we can definitely get this fella, or if you want, we can go this year and get this fella. And he goes, nah, I want him.
It's quite possible. I'll throw a name into the ring on that possibility. But Klopp, team back in pre-season training, he spoke, Ben, of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Rhian Brewster, Joe Gomez, even Adam Lallana being like the proverbial new signings. I mean, it winds some people up that because they're desperate for the transfer, not least me. But but Liverpool are going with this party line that they don't need players. Are they truly, in your mind, is there a strategy in place of sticking, not twisting, or is this just misdirection of the media going, look over there while we do business?
I think it's hard to know. I think I wouldn't put it past Liverpool to just announce someone tomorrow. No one was on it, and it's like a big name sign, and it's just out of the blue. I wouldn't put it past it. So I think it really is difficult to know what's going on. I think there's a load of sense in the fact that you know what they're saying is these 3-4 players are like a new signing. You know, Divock, Divock's going to stick around. Who you know we thought this time last year would probably move on. Brewster has been assured of a role, you would say, to sign his contract. So, you know, you've got to then not block his development path. I think Oxlade-Chamberlain. I think the thing is for fans looking on, it's hard because you just don't know what you're going to get. So I think there's a load of unknowns. You don't know what Oxlade-Chamberlain's going to give you in terms of can he give us 50 games, can he give us 20 games. You know, he's had a bad injury. The same with Brewster, in fairness. Plus he's unknown. You know, we've never really seen him play. We've seen him bang goals in the World Cup when he was 16, 17, but never played for us.
I've only ever watched them at under 18 level. Like, because in my old job at the club, I'd covered a lot of the academy games, and you're right, you know, it's all well and good doing it at one particular level, but when you step up through the levels and eventually hit the first team, it's a different ball game. And like with Brewster, he was always one that stood out, that he's got something about him, quick and nippy, and you know, can get him behind the defenders and he can score all kinds of goals. Like even for the under 23s before he got injured, he's got some absolute belters against like PSV and Everton, and you know, some proper like different finishes, and even lobs against Tottenham and Anfield. Like, so there is something about him, but for me, that's what I'm eager to see. Like yourself is how is he going to bounce back from this injury? Because it was quite a bad injury that he got when he was playing against Man City. You know, but it's put him out for over a year. Same with Oxlade-Chamberlain, and on Oxlade-Chamberlain as well. You know, he's been out over a year, and I remember reading the big Sam Wallace piece in the Telegraph that came out in May, you know, about the injury and how it's took him a year to bounce back. And even they said in that article, if I'm right in remembering, that it's going to take him at least a year to fully heal and to fully get back to what he was. So with Oxlade-Chamberlain, we're going to need patience in my eyes.
I think that Ryan Brewster thing's dead interesting, because you've heard a lot about him since he kind of wins the World Cup with England, the under-17s, doesn't he? And he comes to prominence in that. He gets 8 goals in that tournament, and he scores successive hat-tricks against Brazil and USA, quarters and semis. So everyone is talking about him at that point. And he looks great. And I think, yes, there's the injury thing, but I'm also interested to see how the club are developing him as a player, because there's loads and loads of talk about him just being a lad who may operate between the width of the penalty area. You know, almost a Bobby Firmino light, if you like. He can come in, play that number 9 role. You've touched on there, Joe. He's got all kind of finishes in his locker. But, you know, do Liverpool start to think about maybe developing him a little bit further, and, you know, can he suddenly play in a more of a wide area? So that'll be interesting to see what the club's got in mind for him, really, because if he's going to get more game time by doing that allows him to then fill in for 1 or 2 players, 3 players, as opposed to just for Bobby. So I think that's interesting how they're working with him, and maybe we get to see a little bit of that against Tranmere on Thursday if he starts. But there's no doubt, you know, he's had a huge injury there, and it's going to take a little bit of time. So whilst we can all be excited about it, I think, you know, we've got to give the lad time to kind of get used to playing at the next level, because the next level is one hell of a step up.
I wouldn't be surprised if if they want someone, they're not quite sure whether they need to push the button and get them. I wouldn't be surprised if they're just giving it a couple of weeks. Have a look at what happens in pre-season. Yeah. Have a look at the level of Harry Wilson, the level of the lads we've just spoke about, and see whether they think they can get the games they need out of them. And if they can't, then it's like, right, okay, we need one. We need someone in, and we've got someone, so we can do it. Let's do it. You just don't know. I think that's what's dead interesting. It's a bit frustrating, obviously, being a fan. You want to get something nice about buying new people, isn't it? There's something nice about watching new people play footy. Yeah, there's something lovely about it. It's like it's sort of like being a kid again, isn't it? Yeah. But I don't know. I think it's up in the air.
I mean, you look at that's a fantastic point. I mean, you look at what happened with Alisson last year. They only decided to pull the trigger on that one after the Tranmere pre-season game. Yeah. When it was clear.
Seriously, no. Do you believe that though? I find that.
Mel says there's loads of planning going on around Alisson.
As the fella who was saying, in all summer we'll sign Alisson. Yeah. But I do think it maybe solidified certain minds at the club when it was clear that Karius' head had just fell off.
So they were briefing that Ward would
but that was a negotiation with Roma, wasn't it? But what I'm saying, I always think ultimately they would have signed Alisson anyway. But when it's quite clear that your number 1 goalkeeper is having, and I feel sorry for the kid, but I was there at Tranmere last year, and I felt horrible for him. I felt really, really sorry. But maybe that solidified arguments of fresh in minds. Just the point I was going to make though, is you saw what Ryan Brewster, Vandenberg, whatever. I think there's a chance that you'll see Brewster especially more than what you think, and there's a reason for this. One of the problems with the Premier League is the gap between the under-19s and the first team, because the Premier League 2, or whatever you want to call it, or the under-20, you can go weeks and weeks and weeks without a game. Literally weeks and weeks and weeks. And I was talking to somebody at the academy a few weeks ago, and he was saying a couple of the kids who'd been up at Melwood for a month had come back to the academy, and they were rusty as hell. Because they were just, they weren't at Mel to make up the numbers, but while there was just no games for them to play.
Like Curtis Jones.
Yeah. There was no games for them to play, and I think you don't appreciate just how important it is to get to keep basically for these kids to get games and to keep them sharp. So I think that I don't think there's going to be a halfway house on this. I don't think you're going to see Brewster play 5 to 10 games over the course of 3, 4, 5, 6 months. I think he's either going to play very little or far more than what you think.
There is now
because he needs it. And bear in mind, the manager's always banging on about rhythm.
There's now this Checker Trade trophy which we're entering, some of the big teams are entering, which will give more games to that age group.
I think there's also, I think what Andy says is right, I think there's also a point at which somebody just grabs the shirt. Like, and the manager's been seen to be a fella who someone goes into form. Joe Matip last year starts the season, 4th choice centre half, ends up starting Champions League final.
Yeah,
it's because his form improved, and he you know, by chance, whatever, he ends up starting a loads of games because people get injured, and then he just kept the shirt because he was great.
Well, look at Robertson with Moreno.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Sorry, Rob, just on the top end of the pitch, I think that's the one area where most people would agree they should be looking to do something. I think I said that on the show last week. You can sit down with people, rational people, and say, you know, you can make a case for not doing anything in midfield. You could maybe stretch it and say, well, Robertson plays most of the games at left back. Make a case for just leaving it as it is. I'd do something, but you could make a case. But top end of the pitch, I mean, not only does it give us as fans a lift to see players coming in, but I think there's something around just pushing on the lads who are there as well. You know, because if you know your place is guaranteed every week, you know, sometimes the desire might not always be there, or can fall away. You can have the odd game where maybe you're not quite at it, and you know you're going to play the following week. Now, I'm not suggesting that would happen with our lads because they look like really driven individuals, but I do think there's something about bringing another lad in, top end of the pitch, and it just maybe spurs on even further the lads who are there. Carrick used to always say, when you'd bring in people in this position or around that part of the pitch, it'd drive them on another 5 or 10% to improve. And I think, you know, if you're looking at marginal gains here, something like that can suddenly all of a sudden have a huge impact on the squad.
I do think you're right, Ian, but I think this is where pre-season in particular for Brewster is just perfect opportunity for him. Like, if he comes in and it's the ground run, let's say he gets a goal at Samir on Thursday, or even a double, then he goes to Bradford, scores a double again, or even gets a hat-trick, let's say, for argument's sake, or he just carries on scoring in games, them two, or then on the tour in America he gets a couple there, then Lyon, and then Napoli as well. And then by the time he gets to the Community Shield, you know, he might even start that against Man City, because Firmino might still not be fit enough, Salah might not be fit enough, you know. So this pre-season for Brewster is just a perfect chance, and he is going to be considered like the main man.
My hope for him is that because he's been out with this injury for so long, that he doesn't get niggly recurrent injuries and ends up missing half the pre-season, and never quite happens for him, because I agree with you, it's totally crucial. But I want to talk about, I think if Liverpool are to bring one in, if there's a name that's been bubbling under, although it's been widely rubbished by the club, it's Nicolas Pepe. I mean, there were stories in the press a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago, that Michael Edwards has gone as far as ringing up the Lille manager to say Liverpool aren't interested in Nicolas Pepe. But there's quotes over the weekend from Lille's president, Gerard Lopez, who has since apparently confirmed that Liverpool are in talks to sign Pepe, which just goes against everything that's being said in this country. Not the first time we've seen press in one country totally at opposites from press here. He supposedly said, I know there have been discussions with the player, but not with us as a club. Liverpool have players in his position, and I read that he could go there if players leave. I am not particularly focused on Liverpool, but it is true there have been discussions with the agents. What to believe, Andy?
Yeah, well, I think that reads as Lille want to sell the player and use Liverpool to.
Well, they've said they will let him go.
Yeah, well, exactly. So they've written their own story, but throw Liverpool in the mix, and then suddenly it's all over the place, and people know the players available for a certain
I'm a big
price.
fan of Edwards phoning the chairman and saying, lad, the story's all over this paper, you know, I'm just phoning to let you know that we haven't spoke to him, we're not interested. However, while I've got you on the blower,
how much?
Any hopes?
Or even better, listen, mate, no, we definitely, no, not interested. Look, Nicholas, we're not interested, are we, mate? No.
Just like they weren't in Van Dijk. But this is why the reference to the Alisson saga. I mean, there was a lot of misdirection of the media last summer with the Karius and Ward things. Then the Italian media picked up on it, and there was still stuff. The press boys here go, no. Oh, yeah, they are interested, and he's signing. It just feels Liverpool are very good at luring you into their reality and going, no, it's actually okay, guys, that we don't sign absolutely anybody when the next one we sign could take us on to the level of winning the league. It just feels far-fetched to me, Andy,
I think I've said this on another show, so I apologise if I repeat myself. I think we can get carried away a little bit on like a couple of million quid as if it's not a big deal. So we talk about Alisson specifically. There was talk of, Roma won't do business, Liverpool won't go to 75 million or whatever it was. And everyone's going, oh, just pay it. The difference between what we paid and 75 million, and it sounds glib when you talk a massive amount of money, but it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money,
Yeah.
and if you get a reputation for overpaying, as Liverpool have done,
I think that's the bigger thing, isn't it?
you get a reputation for overpaying, especially with agents' fees. I think Liverpool have topped the agents fee table for 3 out of the last 4 years or something now. And it does matter. I mean, you talk about, I know Liverpool have booked the profit, but a lot of that's accounting chicanery. But like, that's a lot of money that's got to be accounted for. So the point I'm making is, if they're really negotiating for a player, why wouldn't they do everything they can to make sure that they get the absolute optimum deal that suits Liverpool Football Club to the ground? And if that means telling, not barefaced lies, but knocking stories down, why should they entertain stories when, in fact, it could be counterproductive to the business case?
The other side of that is that our scouting's so good and our success rate is so good on players that we've got to be fucking devious and we've got to tell little tales, because otherwise people are, there's clubs literally looking at who Liverpool are interested in and going, yeah, come on, we'll have a bowl of him, because look what they've just done with Salah and Sadio and Firmino and so and blah blah blah. I mean, there's no harm in fucking barefaced. I like lying. I'm a big fan of lying.
The press boys to turn around and goes, we understand the Liverpool aren't going to buy anyone this summer, but they are terrible, terrible liars. And things can change.
We can't trust a word that comes out.
Okay, pre-season training began officially on Saturday with the boys photographed reappearing at Melwood. Liverpool have confirmed the list of 16 players who were available for that day. They are Arroyo, a young keeper.
Is he a keeper?
Yeah, Colombian centre.
He's
a defender.
He's a centre. He's Colombian. We'll move on to my faux pas there. Brewster, Klein, Fabinho, Gomez, Kent, Hervert, Jones, Lallana, Matip, Milner, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Phillips, Vandenberg, Wilson, Woodburn, and no keepers, none, because Kelleher's having surgery.
I'm a huge fan of someone having to go.
Harry Wilson back for pre-season training. You're going in nets. So prove yourself. Oh, really, boss? Yeah. Well, Liverpool have got a game at Prenton, first pre-season game at Prenton Park Thursday night under the lights. Joel, big one. Pick me a team.
Let's have a little.
Hang on.
Colombian centre half.
Before we get into this,
shout here, Andy. Goal.
James Milner, man or machine. It's some of the pre-season.
Legging everyone all over the shop.
Legging everyone.
I'd love to be as fit as him.
He's like, I don't know.
I'm 34 now, maybe, 33, 34. And he's still running rings around.
He was never in doubt either, by the way. He was never in doubt.
Okay, come on, I want to hear your team. From that lot I picked. In goal, we don't know. We are assuming Buvac is back and he's going in goal.
John Achterberg used to play for Tailor-made, didn't he, as well?
Your right back choices you could pick from Kleiny, Gomez-y, Herver Jonesy. I think that's about it. Yeah. Who do you want? We'll all pick.
/ Klein.
Okay. Left back is the same lads who are on offer. Have we got any centre halves here? Gomez could play. Matip's back. Vandenberg, I believe he's good. He's good. We just signed him.
Bigger than he looks.
Look, we were just.
No, that's not.
Ben Woodburn's
bigger than
back.
he is. I don't know.
Ben Wood. Ryan,
he's deceptively tall.
He said he's 6'2". He's about 9 foot.
He's massive.
I think a couple of lads are just here before they take loan moves. They would include Ryan Kent and Ben Woodburn. Okay, we're all not going to pick a team here for Tranmere, but I'm actually wondering how he's going to do it, because so many are away because of international duty or the AFCON. Segueing neatly onto the AFCON, Ben. Brilliant news about Egypt going out. Personal tragedy for the boy Mo, but brilliant news because we might actually have our best player back sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, you feel for him because he clearly wanted to win. We said this before on Talking Reds, but I'm not bothered. I'm not Egyptian. I couldn't give two fucks. Yeah. So I'm made up. He's having a nice break. I hope he's on a plane somewhere lovely now, about to go fishing.
He's got a good Instagram game on holiday, hasn't he?
Yeah, I really take a lot of pleasure in watching Mo Salah really relax.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, there he is on the beach, get in.
You take it easy, Mo. You're going to be put through your paces, lad, so you take it real easy now.
Yeah. You get that hairy chest out and just,
he's waxed now, isn't he? He's waxed,
His six-pack's beyond a six-pack, have you noticed? I mean, I don't want to be a bit fetishistic about this, but it is some six-pack.
Does he wear socks with his adolescence? That's what I want to know.
But the difference in his frame to this time last year when he got run over by Ramos, and they've clearly said to him, lads, you need to work on on your strength because he's unreal now how strong
I think
he is.
he's always been dead strong, you know. I remember that goal. Remember the way he turns Maguire?
Yeah,
the game
and that's quite a lot.
And that's a big. That's
I mean,
a lot to turn. You know what I mean?
Easy to fucking push him off weight, and he just tipple him and that big fucking 50-kilo head.
But the fact that Mo's back now does put us in a good position, because there was a bit of a worry that we were only going to maybe have Firmino first game of the season against Norwich, and all of a sudden now it looks almost certainly like you're going to have Mohamed Salah playing in that game as well. Obviously Mane might be the only one of the front three who's not quite ready to go first game of the season.
I think it's a funny thing now, isn't it? Like this pre-season now, in terms of, you know, people think about, are they going to be able to get up to speed again? They're only getting 3 weeks off. Don't forget they've already had a week off before the Champions League final. They're getting 3 weeks off. I think they're going to be fit. You know, Milner's come back, he'll probably play a game. So he could probably play the Champions League final tomorrow.
Mo's had about 5 holidays this year quietly, hasn't he?
That's the thing. Me and Neil were speaking about this the other week on something, but I think there's a point at which in this season they use that World Club Championship, whatever it is, for a nice little holiday camp. And you know, you get a couple of games postponed. You've got your winter break anyway, which is built in, but you get a couple of games postponed. I think it's West Ham gets jibbed, or you might play them and then you go. But then I think they're away for 10 days.
Harvey Elliott's getting a start in the World Club final.
Play 2 games. You want to play against a load of, you know, a shite side and a good one, hopefully.
Yeah.
And you think, they just treat that as a holiday camp.
Yeah,
they treat that as a lads, let's have 5 days off.
I think they'll want to win it, but because of the level of opposition in terms of quality, they can probably do a bit of jiggly pokery in the first game, couldn't you, at least? So yeah, you could be right.
So I think that's, and where we're like, I'm flapping thinking, we're going to have our team straight here for the start of the season. I think you look, people will come back and just fucking play. They'll do a few warm-ups and then just play.
And Klopp's talked, Andy, about managing them through the season, managing their games, which again begs the question, well then buy someone, because it'll help you do that. But I'm looking at the likes of the lads who've been in the AFCON and were in the World Cup last year, and even if Mo's gone out a bit early, he's had a big couple of years. I can see increasing pressure or conversations between the Liverpool staff and the international managers and saying, look, there's about 3 or 4 international breaks before Christmas. Surely you could let it excuse him from a couple of these. Or him, Mane, the rest.
Well, they've been doing that anyway. I think
yes,
over the last couple of seasons, I think the club, I've got much better with that. I mean, even to the point where they've said that they haven't even tried to blag an injury or anything like that. They've just said the Egyptian FA have elected not to call Mohamed Salah up for this, and I think Mane as well. Even England, the Southgate's got a really good relationship with the manager, and to be honest as well, I think it's sizing. You talk about game times and too much pressure. We were talking about Ryan Brewster earlier in the show, and maybe that's the character that they're giving these young kids. Going, well, look, there are going to be games there. But look, Liverpool now, it's easy to say, Everton's great because Everton is great, but off the pitch now, Liverpool are just so far ahead of where they were previously. You know, you talk about the nutritionists they've got in, the fitness staff they've got in. You look at the injury record that we've had. People say we've been very lucky with injuries. I think a lot of that's just down to good planning. I think the major injuries that Liverpool have had have been impact injuries as well that you can't accommodate for. You can't do Joe Gomez breaks is like that. That isn't down to overplaying. That's just
someone leaves one on them.
Yeah, that's what it is. So I think Liverpool are much better at that, and I don't want to care sitting out because you get pulled hamstrings all over the shop the first week of the season, but much better now at that than what they have been previously, and they'll have a plan for every eventuality.
Yeah, Joel, I mean, I've been looking at this season trying to plan it out for Jurgen on my own. You even look at things like, well, at least we're first seeds in the Champions League this year, and we're fingers crossed we don't get PSG and Napoli and the hard teams, that we get a slightly gentler ride, a chance to make a game or two into a dead rubber. It would all help with easing us through.
Yeah, it would, 100%. And I mean, pot 2's the only one where you get a potential, where you get, I think, Real Madrid, Atletico, Dortmund and Napoli are all in pot 2. That's the only one where you think a bit, I can't be dealing with that. But as you say, you know, pot 3 and pot 4 we should deal with easily. But even if, like, say, we go deep in the Carabao Cup, I think there is a potential for like a clash with the Club World Cup. So whatever the football, if that does happen, if Liverpool do get to the quarters, and like they've got to reschedule that even, but I think Klopp, in a way, you just got to toss off the League Cup this season. I think you're just gonna have to potentially,
toss it right off.
Yeah, toss it right off. I mean, I normally in the past I wouldn't say that either. I'd want to go in for everything and win it all.
What did you use?
Yeah.
Beat it off.
Yeah, just beat it off, sack it off, whatever. But you know, that in the Carabao Cup, like, you just end up going for, you know, playing like your Joneses, and if they're still around, or your Adam Lewis's at left back. You know what I mean?
I think to be fair to him, he'd probably like the chance to do that. I think last year the draw we had, fucking Chelsea at home first round, bank off of that, and you've got to play at half a side. Then you know, you can't. You know, you've got to play lads who you would not necessarily want. That's just, you wouldn't mind a few away.
City's run, Burton Albion.
Yeah, a couple of jag teams where you can throw players who you need minutes in the legs. Give them a game, and you're not.
Well, you've only got to look at the run that City had to the 2 cup finals last year. There was games there. No, I'm not knocking it, but what I'm saying is, you know, John was right. If you get a Burton Albion, or if you get a Berry, or whoever, Berry is still there anymore, you know, there should be opportunities there to give to blood these kids. I mean, I remember when we put the kids out against Spurs in the League Cup under Rafa.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't let
penalty
us down.
shootout, what a night that was. I think Cinema Pongol scored the winner, didn't he? Yeah. No, I mean, it's a strange one, Ian, isn't it? The thought of going, if we could go deep in the cups, would it compromise what else we were doing? In theory, the manager could just keep putting out these second string sides. But I mean, I said at the beginning and somewhere, what I would like to see is Liverpool's transfer activity is us build a side via what we do in the market to win the League Cup. And by that I mean, let's make this squad strong enough that our second string can, or the team that we put out can really be put out the way City did, without compromising what we're doing in the primary 2 competitions.
No, I agree with that. I mean, Jono's right. Obviously, if you do get a kind of draw, then obviously, of course, it helps you, and you can look to go a little bit deeper. So, no, the draw can and probably will dictate what sides he puts out. But I said it before, I do think it's important that we just try and pick up trophies now, regardless. Obviously, the European Cup and the League are always going to be the 2 big ones that you want. But in terms of legacies, just keep winning stuff. You know, that winning stuff builds a culture, and I think it's important now that Liverpool just try and keep putting big silver things in the cabinet.
FA Cup. I'd love to win the FA Cup.
The FA Cup,
and the FA Cup.
John, obviously they've been diluted now. Both tournaments have been diluted, the League Cup and the FA Cup. But I think the pressure's off to some extent by winning the European Cup. You know, if all of a sudden the League Cup or the FA Cup's the first trophy you win, it doesn't feel the same. But because you've won the big one, just picking up stuff now, I think is really, really important for this group of players to go and just have that winning mentality. You know, Mourinho would talk about it a lot. There's something in winning the League Cup and then kicking on. And City, they've taken it very, very seriously. Yes, they've had some kind of draws, but in previous years, they've been in the final or thereabouts a lot. So I think for me, I'd like to see us take those 2 trophies a little bit more serious. But I think, you know, what we haven't really touched on as well is in terms of player recruitment, which I think is important. What the manager has demonstrated, certainly early part of last season, is the ability to go flexible with his formation. So, you know, it's hard to know really what Liverpool look like against maybe City in the Charity Shield, for instance. You know, how does he? Because he'd be thinking about Norwich, because that game's only 4 or 5 days after, so it's a precursor to that Norwich game. And you put it on your agenda, Rob, what you thought that team might look like. And one of the names that was missing from that City potential lineup was Oxlade-Chamberlain, and I think having him back this season is huge. I'd be amazed if he doesn't start against City. When you think of his record against City, how good he's been against them in the past, not only in the games that he scores, but actually, I remember him in the second leg against City at their place, where all of a sudden he's making those penetrating runs. He's a lad who's willing to go past centre forwards. On about 35, 40 minutes, there's lads looking around thinking, who the fucking hell's marking him? Because he's just making those runs that you just can't live with. And City aren't a team that are used to having lads run at them. And all of a sudden, Liverpool have got a bit of a threat there that people won't be used to again, because he didn't play at all last year. Obviously, there's the caveat of, what does he come back like? What's he going to look like? Is he going to be capable of putting, 2-3 games together, given the injury he's had? But I think the return of Chamberlain could be absolutely huge for Liverpool. Given how flexible he is as a footballer as well, all of a sudden you can see him popping up right hand side if it was 4-2-3-1. So that for me is a massive boost going into the new season.
I was just going to say there, look at it this way, by the end of the year we could have 3 more trophies.
That'll do. That's the spirit. Before we conclude, I want to tell you about a thing we're doing on AnfieldWrap.com, giving you the chance to vote for what we're calling the player who is your embodiment of Liverpool FC. So the lad you think currently on and off the pitch is the embodiment of the club. You can do that by voting at www.theanfieldwrap.com/award. I'm going to go round the room and get you to give your picks. Me and Ben have done ours on the Talking Reds video, so we'll be very quick. I picked Sadio Mane. Ben, you picked
Trent. I picked Trent because he's boss.
Because he's boss, good reasons, solid reasons.
Solid.
Very good. Ian, who would you be picking and why? On and off the pitch.
I think it's dead hard because I think there's loads and loads
In
of
it low,
candidates.
you'll say again.
There's loads of candidates. I can definitely see a case for Jono's Trent shout. On the pitch, he's been magnificent. I mean, what he's doing at 20 years of age is unreal. The numbers he's delivering are, you know, unparalleled really. I think Andy Robbo has got that working class hero thing going on, where he's kind of come through the journey he's come through to suddenly be probably the best left back in Europe. So I think there's an Andy Robbo shout, and the lads I've mentioned are also doing loads of great work off the pitch in terms of charity stuff as well, which sometimes goes unrecognised, but it's important to note. But I'd probably go for James Milner. I think Milner's just the age he's at, what he's given the team, the leadership qualities that he possesses. He's clearly one of the manager's lieutenants on the pitch. He's full of drive, even at the age he is. I just think he's been an inspirational figure, and I think when he came in, a lot of people probably weren't expecting loads from James Milner. They probably didn't see him having such a kind of prominent place within the side or within the squad. And, you know, whether he's starting or whether he's coming off the bench, the lad has given this football club loads. And you forget as well, he's coming as a free transfer. Yes, he was coming in on big wages, but my God, he's paid all of that back and then some. And you look at when he came on in the Champions League again, he almost grabs the second goal. But just the stuff he does around the club, both on and off the pitch, would make him my choice.
Andy, did you pick yours on another show?
I've made my case on an alternative show, but I'm going to push it again now. I'm going for Jordan Henderson for loads of reasons, but primarily I'll keep it short. The journey he's been on as a Liverpool player. He's come in to replace Steven Gerrard, probably the best player ever to play for the football club. He's had people write him off because he isn't Steven Gerrard. He's gone from trying to get... He chose to stay at the club when he could have went to Fulham. And I think to deal with what he's had to deal with on the pitch, people not rating him, to lift the European Cup as Liverpool captain, that's it for me. Just that quiet, steely determination of, I know we like to shout loud and proud, but I always think of Bob Paisley. When we talk about values at Liverpool, I always think of Paisley and the quiet determination that's often mistook for softness. And I think Andy Robertson's got a bit of that about him.
Jordan Henderson, you mean?
No, Andy Robertson's got
Andy
the
Robertson
same thing.
Oh, yeah,
He's got that about him. Whereas I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to show you. And he's shown everyone. So Jordan Henderson for me.
Okay, Joel, finish with you.
Well, I was going to go with Henderson. But,
you can still go for Henderson?
Yeah. In fact, I'm going to go with Henderson as well. Because I admire him for all the knocks that he's had, from constant arguments I've had with mates about him, where even though I've caveated with, I know he's not Gerrard or I know he's not like this world-class player, but I just admire him for the fact that he's just grabbed the ball by the horns, he's probably worked his arse off, and he's now got rewarded with the European Cup. So yeah, Henderson for me. Thank you, boys.
Thank you to all of you. Solid choices. That's enough Anfield Wrap Monday show, and next week Neil will be back from his Algarve retreat.